You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amber TV.
Boy, go get her. Blue Jay Brothers. Mama, you're kind. Mama, you're beautiful. Mama, you're good. Mama, you're wonderful. No woman like you, Mama. No woman like you, Mama. Thank God for you, Mama. Thank God for you, Mama. 'Cause you gave me life. Oh, Mama. Queen of my life. Mama, I go love you for life. Oh, Mama, 'cause you love me so. Oh, Mama. From small beginning, I never forget all the suffer when you suffer for me. Oh yeah, yeah. All the pain and the troubles where I pull you through. I remember when money no be there and chop no be there for her. You be the try your best. You go run around to find us something where we go chop. When I dey sick, you know the sleep, you go dey cry all night. You go hold me tight, start to pray, say God make you help my baby. Oh Lord, ooh, I wo ye choma, afunga na bere ye funga choma, ambama na bere ye ambama choma, enga na chinyu ye ga choma. Mama, I wo ye choma, afunga na bere ye funga choma, ambama na bere ye ambama choma, enga na chinyu ye ga choma. You're my motivation. You gave me the best education, Mama. The song where I sing, I'm for you. Now it's special dedication to you. Oh yeah. I know say every night and day you pray say make a Mama. The God where you the pray I'm for heaven. Don't give me this inspiration, Mama. The song where I sing, I'm for you. Now to show my appreciation to you. Who be a warrior, choma. I funga na bere ya funga choma. I'm bombing na bere ya bomba choma. Engana chinum ya ga choma. Mama warrior choma. I funga na bere ya funga choma. I'm bombing na bere ya bomba choma. Engana chinum ya ga choma. Chinum ya ga choma. Chinum ya ga choma. Chinum ya ga choma. You gave me life. Oh, Mama.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. This is my Patience Abidu, your host today. I know you were expecting Lady Casey. She'll be back next week. I want to start by greeting everyone, especially those watching and listening from the home front, those in ground one, and those of you all over the diaspora. This is the Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, and we are staying the course. Today we have two exciting topics. The first one is about La République du Cameroon's recent killing spree in our territory. And the second topic is our message to the elites, our Anglophone elites, or our Southern Cameroonian elites, and what they should be doing with regards to the struggle for our independence or recognition by the international community. I'm excited to introduce our guest today, none other than the Honorable Dr. Winnie Lobadi, the Speaker of the House. Great to see you, Dr. Winnie.
Uh,
You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mape, for having me here. I'm no stranger anymore on the horizon. So thank you. And for our viewers, I just want to thank everyone who is listening, who has tuned in and is about to hear what women have to say. Not just what women have to say, but what is really going on, and looking at it through the lens and the view of mothers, sisters, grandmothers, and ladies as well as daughters.
Thank you so much, Dr. Winnie. You know, this struggle, when it started in the 2016, 2017, we were horrified by the videos we saw, by the pictures we saw, that how on earth was it possible that La République would send military to our villages, to our towns, and kill innocent civilians. And we also heard that their goal, their target was to eliminate all young boys, all men, 12 years and older. We heard those stories. But sometimes when you hear something, you don't believe it till you start seeing images. And we've seen those images for the past 5, 6 years. Then now again, we have recently seen La République's atrocities in Big Babanki and in Boyo. But before we proceed, Dr. Lobadi, we will introduce a little video so that people can hear from the president what happened in these two areas, and and feel this is coming from the president of the interim government, Dr. Sako. So let's listen to that video. It's probably just his audio, but you will see the screen telling us that this is happening in 2023, despite the fact that La République has this narrative out there that peace has returned, normalcy has returned, and that special status is the solution. Before the video comes up, Dr. Lobadi, do you want to say anything about what is happening? And I'm sure you'll say more after you listen to the video or audio.
Yes, I think while you may have been surprised with all the massacre going way back September 2nd, 22nd in 2017, October 1st, 2017. That may have surprised you. For me, actually, it did not surprise me, being that when SDF was launched in Bamenda. I was in Bamenda at the time. And so when the 6 people that were shot, um, the story was now twisted, and we had who we call Kuncha Kominye at the time said zero more. So when he did that, so I was not surprised when all this happened. Um, I would say what I was surprised was when we heard about the Makizas growing up. We never really understood what they stood for or what was happening, except that we knew that if you left the Atlantic zone coming to Midland zone or going to the Savannah zone, there were these spots because at that point our people they had led our roads in going through Manfe and all the like gotten so bad that people had to go through the western province of La Republique and then cut to go through maybe Mbanga or so to get to our Atlantic zone. So when we heard all those things, we never really understood the wickedness and the degree of wickedness that was happening. But I got a little bit when SDF was launched in 1990, I think so. That was 1990. I was back at home. So I was not surprised when all this happened. So when this whole thing came and I had to go read our history again, not again. I now dug into reading, going into even the UN, some of their archives to read some of our what happened to us, and then I educated myself to a certain extent, and I said, I'm gone. I'm not staying with these people. Then I began to understand some of the things. So it's not surprising. And I don't think it will stop. It would only stop when we completely are out and they push out all the colonial administrators out of our zone and we take complete control of our territory.
Mawini, before we went on the air just a few minutes ago, and the show that that was playing was talking about France's manipulation, and talking about all that they've done to keep themselves uh, stuck in all these African countries since the so-called independence that was given to these nations in 1960. Their tentacles are still in all these countries, and they were talking about exactly how they went about it, how they made sure that they fed the dictators with wealth, and they chose those who do not care about their people, and also the CFA, the French, the money that they are controlling. So I'm just saying that all this goes back to France, because if we decided on the 22nd of September 2017 and the 1st of October, following what the teachers requested, just basic requests that the teachers requested, and they could not be afforded just those basic things. And we decided that, oh, we are gone. And that was their reaction. From then till now, my goodness, and we know that more than 45,000 people have been killed. There are stories, untold stories, unheard stories. And now we are seeing this in 2023 again, another set of killing. I was listening to an audio where somebody was recanting that they've burned down some houses and burned all people in the houses again. So these things are happening, and people are just sitting there doing nothing about it. We cannot rely on the international community to solve this problem for us. We have to do it ourselves. So as soon as that audio, because I love for people to hear the president's perspective on this, and then that will give us more to talk about. I'm hoping that is
Fellow Ambazonians, for the past weeks, we don't see rivers of blood for inside Ambazonia. We don't see how La Republic killers, whether they call themselves soldiers, criminal soldiers from La Republic, they don't come for Big Babanki. Now they do for Boyo. They kill, they come down. They just kill innocent people, kill innocent picking them, innocent papa them, innocent mommy them, and they even shamelessly go find Dengon where I don't know who said they get that one. Whether they are chief, where he invite them, now he give them Dengon them where they use them for dance, the country dance, or he give them, they carry and go put them for the picking their skin, say na Amba the killer. We don't already see that game before. Make I tell you something, fellow Ambazonians, La Republic they lose the war. La Republic they lose the war big time, because me and you know will get fight. You and me will get fight. They don't draw line for the say now the place that me we can't enter for that ring we fight. I challenge you, you come. Instead for can't enter for ring for fight, you go back for your house. Tomorrow you go for my farm, you take what last. You go cut all my cocoa I plant on my bush. Then you talk say you don't fight the war, you don't win the war. You don't fight me, you don't win me. They call that one for English say coward. La Republic they been a coward, a total coward. The war don't pass them, because the real war way La Republic get them with Ambazonia now soldier to soldier. Yes, yeah. Fight the people where they fight you. Why you go kill innocent picking them, innocent mommy them, kill innocent boys them, innocent papa them, from Boyo, from Big Babanki. When I just shoot people like say na swine them, just they shoot people there. Now the war that if you kill the whole village of all the civilians for the people where the man boy they still hold gun, the war don't finish. La Republic they do so now because they lost the war, because the real war they know the winner. The real war don't pass them, so they won't give the impression for their people where they send them say that they win the war, because they kill innocent people then. At least when they see their body, they take them go and put up their skin, they go to say okay now Ambazonia and then that already killer, then they go glass say yay they win, so that their propaganda say oh the war don't finish, oh they win the war, oh they the worker small time peace the return, oh we can get one Cameroun with fed special status and so on, that their propaganda go work. This one a propaganda work where they do work. So and you La Republic official, you traditional chief, custodian of the culture and tradition of the people, you where you turn to stranger, not just stranger but the killer of your people. Even the gods of the land they don't forsake you. The almighty God over Ambazonia they don't forsake you. Any CPDM Langatro, a Singan boy, any politician, any La Republic colonial official, anyone a uniform and out of uniform, where they come for inside Ambazonia, because maybe you talk the same language with we, they born you for the same place. You know be our friend, you are our enemy. And at the call on all the Ambazonia restoration force, make you no lost sense, because for this war, your only brother that the one way they fight with you, they fight the enemy where you fight out. No lost sense. Forget about that man where they talk a country talk. Forget about that man where he call himself say he be elder, he be a chief, he be a this, he be a this, he be a friend, he be a classmate, he be a countryman. No. Whether a family member or not be family member, if he know they fight La Republic, yes. If he collaborate with La Republic for kill we and stop we, for make sure we will remain slaves, that person an enemy, is not a friend. ARF will not be naive. Ambazonians no be naive. Some of wanna get phone number for DO, for commandant, for police, for army where they don't give una say make una call. They give you small credit for 10,000 francs. Say make you call them. You tell them about Amba, tell them about this. That people they really that 10,000 don't move your sense. Then they put na coconut water for inside. No person where it kill sorting Cameroonian to be a friend. No matter how he smile with you, no matter what we give you, nobody from La Republic where they fight for same will remain slave under La Republic is a brother. No one is a sister. No one is an uncle. No one is a father. No, all them are enemies. They are your enemy number one. Because all what they do now, now for help the enemy, make them kill all we, so that we will continue for remain slaves under Yahweh, under Bulu, Betty, under this criminal, the way they kill we like mosquito. Even if time where this war be start, your eye no be don't open. Your eye never still open. If your eye never still open, that means say you been a blindness. You are blind. These people where they kill we merciless, they will enter a whole village, burn them down. They ask that why they don't refer us and say who said the CPD and people then they will keep their own houses. When they shoot people them like mosquito, they shoot people them like grumpy, they shoot people anyhow, they throw a bullet anyhow. Why that bullet they so in no CPD and people, in no people where they support La Republic and people that need support? No. Now for tell you how that people then they consider we. According to them, according to La Republic, everyone, including the foolish one where they collaborate with them, every one of them, every one of us of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia origin, we the original Ambazonians, every one of you, whether you stay for Yaoundé, you stay for Douala, you stay for Big Babanki, you stay for Kondo, you stay for Mwa, all we will be enemies. We not get value. We are not up to a human being. We not even be up to 2 feet of human beings. Yes, now the truth that, because if not, tell me how they kill, how they meme, how they kale everybody, treat everybody reduce you to a slave right now, and you dey feel say na this kind of people they wanna want say, may we go get special status with them, may we go get one country so that may we be with them. These people they will be your neighbor, these people they will be your teacher, these people they will be your doctor, these people they will be your friend in the same country again. That means say na coconut water they inside we hate, or we still get sense. That means say na sleep we sleep, or na blind we blind. No La Republic soldier, they not supposed to get no post, military post for inside Ambazo. That is enemy arena number one. Nobody should allow La Republic forget any enemy post for inside our country. Again, other enemy posts X don't be marked on all of them. Block from the land where the military post be to the trees where they are around there. We don't mark X for all of them. X, every colonial administrative post, every soldier their post, all of them X. And when they invite military, La Republic military, when they invite them, say may they come, may they can't do it, may they can't help you kill the people the way they fight for you. You still get sense though. Honor juju, they don't move the sense, put them for inside for Sang Melima, for inside some hole. They take coconut water, put them for inside head. When they work for a singer, Kabar or CPDM, for invite La Republic, for can't catch innocent people, they will kill them. If the people them, the ARF, they turn against one. At the talk say, may una continue for clap, may una continue for celebrate, because this war don't pass La Republic. They can't kill with innocent people. Innocent picking them and mammy about it. They wanna the clap, una say that the key numbers on. When the people they turn against una, may una continue for clap. No make any military person your friend. Whether it buy you recharge card, whether it give you money, it give you telephone, it give you chop for chop, or it smile with you. They come for your village, they come for your town. No for come find you, identify you, disappear you, and kill you. They no be your friend. Even if you never been a classmate for school, they no be your friend again. They are work now, whether in uniform or out of uniform. Now for can kill we innocent people, because they feel say if they feel you kill we so then the people they go tire, then the people they go turn against the strong. But I tell you where they don't kill your brother, kill your papa, kill your mommy, kill your king. You must fight unless you're a coward. You must fight. That's the Ambazonian spirit. We must fight, because you know we can't kill we. Then me are still there alive. Then I allow you for take everything we will get. When me are still there alive. No, you go kill we so that you kill all man before you go take Ambazonia. I condemn the killings where they go on. Look at how La Republic they kill we for Boyo. They kill we for Big Babanki. We don't see them for Ekondo. We don't see them for Maui. We don't see them for Bali. We don't see them for Kumba. We don't see them for all sides. Now the people in this way, some people they don't drink peace. They talk say we'll get for find way so that may we just be one Cameroun. So may we be one country again. May they continue for be our masters, our wicked masters. May we just continue so. God forbid. God forbid. And the inform una say if not the real war with the winner, may we just put our hand together. Continue to do what we get for do. If you dare here, you know the draft, you know the contribute for your local government, for your county. We know the put fuel for this train. We will carry and go for Boya. But continue encourage our ARF. Let me say there's no reason why you be alive at this time for Ambazonia. There's no reason why you be alive for this dispensation for Ambazonia. So I encourage you, because we are winning big time. The real war will be between French Cameroun and Ambazonia. We are the ones winning. The one way La Republic the winner. Now the war of criminality. Now they're the winner. They are winning the criminal war. We are winning the war of liberation. Aluta continue. God bless.
Yeah, so that you just listen to the president. He said a lot of stuff, Mawini, but I'll let you comment, because there's one thing people must remember. These are things that happened 5-6 years ago, and they are happening every year, and this is just a recent occurrence. So we used to love going to our villages on vacations, on holidays. What is becoming of all those villages when they are going in there and killing people and burning houses? Mawini, please go ahead.
Mapi, I think we should not forget that in 2017, prior to November 30th, war was not declared on us, but the dehumanization process had started, where we were called cockroaches, dogs, and whatever appellation that does not befit a human being was given to our people. That had already started. So when people are killing cockroaches and maybe killing dogs, if you're a dog lover, sorry, but you can take that up with some of the colonial administrators of La République, when they think that dogs are only worth to be killed or throw stuff that is not worth anything to. That process had started, and just to keep justifying and pushing and ratcheting up the killing process or machinery that was ensuing. Um, when war was declared by President Paul Biya at the Simaleng airport terminal, when he did that, I think they thought, and their hopes were that 2, 3 weeks, 3 months tops will be done. And because it was not going that way, they got so frustrated. And in that frustration, we were moving. Remember, we had come out of 2016, 2017, SCACUF, Governing Council, and then by um, November, the interim government, or I think October, the interim government was formed. And they looked at it and said, we better squish this and crush this quickly because it's going to overtake us. And at that time, remember this lady, um, Frundi, also said, Mr. President, this thing is like oil. It's going to go through our fingers. If we don't handle it now, we'll not be able to catch it again. So let's handle this. But that killing thing did not start today. If you look at it, it was not only it targeted anybody who was in their path to get their way, whether it's democratically or undemocratically, evil or wicked. They do not really care, including the French government. Why do I say categorically, including the French government? Before independence, why did they even have the maquisards? Why did many Bassa and Bamileki people flee and took refuge in British Southern Cameroon even before we had independence? Why did that happen? That's how majority of some of these people went to Sase, they went to CPC, and then they were integrated and received as refugees and given a refuge and given homes, and they became part of our community, which I would say some of them today are very ungrateful, have rather turned inwardly to assist La République de Cameroon to crush us and to kill us, and to also, because they are so integrated in our um, and they know our ins and outs of our territory, they are helping La Republique. However, if it was that easy, their 3 months war would have just crushed us, but it did not. So what did they do? France, Nigeria, and La République du Cameroun connive, snatch the leadership that was in Nigeria, Julius, and carried them. That was not enough. Many of our people were massacred. I'm sorry that I am repeating this. I have to
Yeah.
talk about it. If we do not remind and put what is happening in front of our people, we will quickly forget it and we will walk away. And once we walk away, it will be like something that they were talking about in the past. That's why countries put landmarks, days of observance for certain things to commemorate and to remember those historical events so they will not forget it. America has 4th of July as its day of independence. Along with that day of independence, it was not only the declaration, but it also included the American War of Independence. It comes as a package. So this that we are doing today, why many of our people, Mami Happy, Baby Martha, Baby Caroles, Gabu Massacre, the Mato 1, Mato 2, I would just call them, and Pinyin Massacre, just to name a few. Those are things we should always bring to remembrance. And when we bring to remembrance, we say, they did this look, this is how they operate. This is their MO, and they continue to do this. To be honest, most of the time, I do not even want to watch those bloody um, images that are coming from home front, because it it crushes you to a level. Yes, we grieve, but then we have to move quickly to see how we can secure and how we can press forward so that we get quicker and faster in pushing out La République and getting our total sovereignty, so that there will be respite and there will be relief and there will be freedom. And when I see the president talking about it, be careful with who you associate with. The fact that you were in school with somebody, you were in Sase with somebody, in Sekai with somebody, in Lords with somebody, in PSS with somebody, GBHS with somebody, and that person today is anti and contrary, opposite of where you are heading. You are heading for liberation and freedom and self determination, and they want federalism, decentralization, and they think that they want to forge this to stay and remain together. Then you are not on the same path. Pick your friends. You can A chicken cannot fly with an eagle. Or if the eagle wants to, the eagle can come down once in a while. But if the eagle keeps hanging around the chicken, it will never, never soar to be what it is, the eagle. So if you want to be an eagle, don't be hanging out with the chickens all the time. You can come once. Guess what? And if you're an eagle, you probably will be probably snatching the chicken down, because so be the eagle and soar, and in soaring you understand and know what your freedom is. All this, let me go back to that video, because now I'm just pouring out my heart. But let me go back to what the audio. It was an audio, not a video. The audio, what the president talked, which is the first one that we've talked about, your associations. Who are you associating with? What is their goal, their motive, and where are they heading to? If it's not the same like where you are, then there is no common ground for you guys to associate. But there is something else that really stabs my heart, is because I realize that because La République has already put a false narrative out there that war has ended, peace is returning, um, only a few spots are there and they are stamping it out. They have gotten some. I think I strongly believe that some of these so-called, we will get into that, elites, we will get into that, who are of our extra, sure, probably do believe the lies that La Republique is propagating out there, because they do not live in the villages and they do not live in our territory. They are somewhere in La Republique, or they are somewhere in diaspora and having a good time, or having um and they are safe. Their children are not their children are not the ones that are going um being picked up from schools. Think about Pearson's Nkwenda, where kids were kidnapped.
Yeah.
So when you look at all this, it behooves me to say, why are we? Why is the international community pretending and making as though they don't see it? Why is the Red Cross not elevating this uh, as a conflict? Why are they keeping it as internal? I don't know how they want to call it. It's just an internal problem. Why have they not elevated it for it to get the attention? We let me just say, let me downplay the number of refugees. We over 50,000 refugees in Nigeria and scattered all over the world, all the way into the US and Europe. They think that is just another internal crisis.
Yeah.
And then we look at moving from that, I look at it and I say, okay, Mr. President, you're hitting this hard. La République is saying that they are winning the war. It is the war of criminality. While we are winning the war. And because they cannot win the ARFs on the ground, guerrilla warfare is, if America could not win Vietnam in guerrilla warfare, first of all, it was France that was in Vietnam. Vietnam was never a territory of the US. America went to help France in Vietnam.
Yes.
My people, listen to this. If you ever hear they keep talking about Vietnam War, Vietnam War, Viet Cong, Vietnam War, America, Vietnam was never a territory of the US. France had Vietnam as their colony. And when the war broke out in, and they could not sustain, France could not sustain and could not fight, they sought help from America. And when America came, France packed its back and they
Yes.
left. And Americans were now sending their kids, and their kids were being killed. Let me tell you the secret. La République is now using your kids, our brothers and sisters. You hear they say, oh, we are recruiting 2,000 soldiers, police, gendarmes, and we want 1,000 of them or so many of them to come from, let me call it, no, northwest, southwest region, as they will put it. And then you go and you think that, oh yeah, I got a job. Why didn't you have a job before 2016? It's now, I got a job. Why are your brothers and sisters walking the street, pushing trucks and also on Okada, driving Okada with master degrees and bachelor degrees in their pockets, and can't find jobs? And even when they want to start a business, it's being taxed out, or they are being killed because of the bribery and corruption. Why couldn't they provide that? They have figured out that to really know who knows the terrain, you need your own the people, our people, who will come there, and our people, and they can disguise. And our people will not know that this is somebody that has been trained, that is here as a spy, and is going to be feeding information. These villages, good example, the fund that connive with La Republic to bring all this military, they did not end only in Big Babanki. They went over and they continue in Boyo, because Boyo is a neighboring county next to the Bambui LGA, Tuba LGA. So they cross over, they cross over to Boyo. So what are we saying? Our people are being used to fight our people now on the ground. The reason for this massacre, indiscriminate. I said, when bullets, the president said, when the bullets came, he did not think whether you were SDF, CPDM, or whatever. It gone down everybody. When people went to the farm, when the civilian population, those that were in their farms or in the bushes, or they were doing their stuff, were you carrying a banner to say, I am CPDM, so don't shoot me? No, you did not. What happened? When bullets are sprayed indiscriminately, that bullet will not discriminate who it puts down. Any person on its path in the trajectory of that bullet will drop down. So I will come to this. Elites, when you invite the military, whether you are a fund, we will talk about that, because the funds went to France in 2022. We haven't forgotten. Our brains are not
Right.
shut. You guys
Yes, we'll talk about that.
went to and started inviting people to come shoot and kill your and massacre your own people. I don't know. Anyway, I've spoken too much. I'll let you say something before express my goals of why I think La Republic is doing all this massacres.
Yes, Mawini, when you were talking in the beginning, you mentioned something about us being called dogs and cockroaches. I just want to remind everyone listening and watching about the stages of genocide. This man called Gregory Stanton, the president, the founder of what is called Genocide Watch, came up with the 10 stages of genocide. And I just want to briefly go over it so people understand how we, Southern Cameroonians, Amazonians, fall in this system and why we're being massacred. So the first stage is classification, where people are divided, them and us. That is already given from the get-go. When we did not get our independence on that October 1st, 1961, and La Republique invaded our territory at that time in the so-called Federation, it was already the beginning of they and us. So we're already divided way back. So that is given. And then symbolization is the second step. When combined with hatred, symbols may be forced upon unwilling members of a pariah group. And so they use hate speeches,
Anglo
like
fools, Anglo fools,
fools and all the like, or
Mhm.
Anglo,
les,
all the
les ennemis dans la maison, all those
exactly.
expressions.
Oh, exactly. And then the next stage is discrimination. Law of cultural power excludes groups from full civil rights, segregation or apartheid laws, denial of voting rights. And this one is even clear. That's even one of the reasons the teachers and lawyers went on the strike, because right there and then we saw how their legal system was being used in our courts. Our teachers, they sent their own teachers to come and teach. So we were discriminated against right there in even things that benefited us. They used their own people to come in our system so that they will get the financial resources, they will be paid, and our own teachers and lawyers will not get the benefits of their knowledge. Then dehumanization, which is what Winnie already talked about. One group denies the humanity of the other group. Members of it are equated with animals, vermin, insects, or diseases. We are called cockroaches and rats and dogs. That's dehumanization. That's the fourth stage. Fifth stage, genocide is always organized. Special army units of militias are often trained and armed. So we really already have the bee that has targeted us. Have you ever seen the bee go attack French Cameroonians? So they have trained people, special militias coming to attack our people. That's the organization. The next step is polarization. Extremists drive the group apart. Leaders are arrested and murdered. Laws erode fundamental civil rights and liberties. Mawini already explained our leaders were arrested in Nigeria and locked
Abducted.
up, abducted and extradited to La Republique de Cameroon and locked up. So when they do that, they try to polarize us so that we then feel as if, okay, those leaders are not there, nothing can happen. Or you have other leaders come up that people do not support. That is polarization, somehow divide and conquer. Preparation, mass killings. Mass killing is planned. Victims are identified and separated because of their ethnic or religious identity. We can count the number of mass killings that have happened, and some of them we don't know. There are so many mass graves. Remember the case where they killed so many people in Bali and burned them, I mean, chemical, so that you cannot identify that. So this is what La Republique is doing. And then persecution, expropriation, forced displacement, ghettos, concentration camps. Now they already have what they call DDI centers that they take some of our boys and
Yep.
keep there. And eventually those boys disappear. They don't, once you become an Amazonian, you fight for this celebration, you go to La Republique, your days are numbered. They will never welcome you as one of them. Your days are numbered. And that's what they are doing to those who went to DDI camps. And then stage number 9, extermination. It is extermination to the killers, because they do not believe their victims to be fully humans. We've already talked about that. Extermination. And finally, denial. The perpetrators deny that they committed any of these crimes. Yeah, so we know people like Atangaji and even Dion Guti and all the people that are supposed to be ours, claiming that, oh, who was this famous one? I forgot the name. Angobala, saying that there's no genocide. So you have people like that saying that there's no genocide when it's clearly there. But Mawini, I want you to give your closing comment. I think there's one more. Maybe we should see this one more video. I don't know if it's available yet, but let's just continue talking till the video comes up, because we want to close this topic and go to the next topic. So you're Yes, yes, yes. You made a comment earlier that if you're there farming or doing your thing, when those bullets are coming, they don't know whether you're CPDM or whether you love beer or whether you love Chantel beer or Frank beer or whatever. They don't know that the bullets don't discriminate. They will catch you if you're on their path. So this is what is happening in our territory. And again, I just don't believe, I cannot, pictures, videos show a lot. If we don't see things like that, we cannot believe that it's really happening in our land. This is the land that before 2016, you will not hear things like this on a daily basis. Now it's a daily occurrence. Mawin, you want to round out this topic, your closing thoughts.
It's sad because when the war was declared and many of our people were fleeing into Nigeria, we saw some of these types of pictures where women, children carrying things and running, and some of them hiding in the bushes because they heard bullets. And here we are, 7 years later, we're still dealing with a similar situation and talking about all the stages of genocide. I think we are kind of in that vicious cycle of the genocide where you have every stage is being relieved of that. It is sad, but I one thing I would say is I have thought through this and I said there are probably there may be more reasons, but some of the goals and reason that I think La Republique went in to spray bullets indiscriminately in raw areas where people were on in their farms. Remember, this was not even Country Sunday, or even if it were. One is to just frustrate our civilians, frustrate. Ma talk the one for pigeon. The reason we poor be are the same people them. Some that chief them will call and say now we'll fund them. They call and invite um um Mbele, all these military people, then say me they can shoot and kill. Now because number one, I go give three reasons then for you. The one may wanna be people, what wanna own the land, what wanna want say wanna want keep wanna freedom so that wanna fit talk. The one say more wanna tired, more than say they don't overkill we, more just give up me then come. After all, before 2016, think they be there fine. It not be the one may back for play where it go reach where wanna go talk say the one was passed before the war. Just remember, not be we call war. So I do one pass more just greed, just don't under them. They want to get you frustrated, give up, and then retreat and start calling even your own people that are there to help and liberate you, that they are the people that are the problem. That's number one strategy that La République is hoping they will accomplish with this type of indiscriminate killing. Number two, they are also, because they are not winning, and they had already showed that they had already made the word out there that, oh, the war is over, peace has returned, everything they find. Now only some small pockets, small places where they still get some resistance, but no big deal. The DDR station, the DDR camp them, they full. Only a few people they remain, and they will win them over. So that is number two reason. They want to prove to the international community that everything is. That is why when they kill you, mama, they kill your son, kill your husband, kill even those who are even just passing by. They carry that then gun and throw on top them, then take picture and then post them. Then post them again for social media. Make people say, you see, other people than this. And then the other one I say, because they not fit win ARFs, they want me the international community see them as terrorists and call them say terrorists. So that one not be only that, they will say, hey, yeah, that terrorism where they there for diaspora. Now them they support all this, and so we don't want terrorism because they know terrorism is a big problem internationally. But La République has successfully allowed the world to turn a blind eye while they commit genocide. But the one thing they have not successfully done is to call us terrorists, and it has not stuck.
And the reason too, Mawini, thank you for that great explanation, that they will not succeed is because the United States of America believes in people fighting for their freedom. They do. That resolution 684 that the Senate passed, the House passed in 2021, clearly states the facts about the root causes of the problem and where we are and what is happening. So they see the trend. You know, this our struggle should remind us about what is even happening in Ukraine. You know, I was listening to news the other day, and when Putin invaded Ukraine, they thought it was going to be something that would take place in 2 weeks. They will be done, right? That was what they thought. They had this huge army. They would just go over and take away the land, and Ukraine will be part of
Mape,
Russia.
I think
Yes,
we have a similarity. Remember when
yes,
Russia invaded Crimea and
yes.
Ukraine did not fight back? And because they took Crimea with very little resistance, so they thought that going to pull and take over the entire Ukraine was going to be
Will
that
be
easy.
piece of cake.
And exactly, a walk in the park. Because La République du Cameroun successfully was able to take the instruments of power from the British. So it was not given to our premier at the time, John Foncha. So they thought that as easy as it was, they had succeeded, but they did not realize that the 40 years that the British were in our, we were a protected territory under the British, that culture was ingrained and rooted in us, and it could not just be yanked off and pulled out, and we would just walk and be embraced and say, hey, because they say, this is our brother. So the annexation, while we were thinking that those who had advocated for us to join them were thinking a federation would be what was going to happen, they in their mind were annexing us. That was where they were. They already knew it was annexation. So drawing similarities, Russia thought it would just walk over Ukraine easily because they took part of Ukraine, Crimea. And the reason it was so easy for them, they did not realize, is because that part, Crimea, that part of Ukraine, has some indigenous Russians
Russians.
as well as indigenous Ukrainian mixed in that part of that country. I'm sure they are littered all over, but I think there was and so they used that the Russians in Crimea were being discriminated, and they walked over and took over Crimea, and the world stayed quiet. So when we look at some of this, and of course it was on cable news and all one news, but nobody really um called Russia to order on that. So when you hear Tibonagi say that there's really no international community and we feel angry, he's really just telling us your war is in your hand, your freedom is in your hand, your liberation is in your hand. Don't wait for somebody else, because Russia did that to Ukraine in Crimea in 2000, I think 14 or 13, 14, yes, 14, and nobody did anything. That international community did nothing. It was when it got so close to NATO where they felt their vital
Absolutely.
interest was not, yes, then they started helping. And of course, Ukraine is begging and getting assistance. Let me leave that so we don't go
Yeah,
deep into international.
absolutely. They are getting assistance from the international community that doesn't exist. But
Exactly.
we understand that we've been fighting this struggle for quite a while to get our liberation. We have been on this journey from the early 60s till uh, 2016, before 2017, before the war came upon. We were really applying the force of the argument, and the force of the argument didn't
Mhm.
take us anywhere. We've done all we can do. We believe that we own our land. Now, thankfully, that we have restored our nation, thankfully that we have the interim government, thankfully that we have a president, President Sako, who is very focused. We are using now the argument of the force. And as you said, we are not called terrorists because we are doing things by the book. We know that we have to defend ourselves. We know that you cannot just sit in your homes and get your families killed, your properties taken away. We fight for our freedom. The United States of America believe in people fighting for their freedom, and that's what we are doing. So we're going to be moving to the next topic that has to do with the so-called elites, our Southern Cameroonians, Amazonian elites, and who they are, and why are they quiet, and when will they wake up. Uh, we know that most of them are not able to go to their villages for vacation like they used to do in the past. When we were growing up, it was really nice going to the village to just relax and just have a peace of mind, just enjoy the scenery, things that you don't really find in the city. They don't do that anymore. They are prisoners in a foreign land. And, in life, it's really how you end and not how you start. Because if they're going to end their lives in this foreign land and never go back to their home, it's a travesty, it's a shame. So as we're talking, I'm going to hope that there's a video that I want people to see for us to remember where we are coming from. We said that from the get-go in 1961, when we're trying to get our independence, it was already clear that there were two separate people. The fact that La République du Cameroun invaded our territory, sent their military in our land on that September 30th, and took over, until today, they have not been able to assimilate us, shows that we are genuinely two distinct people, that you cannot mix oil and water. It will not survive. It will not exist. It will not, they are just, it's not possible. So I'm hoping that video will show us. From that video, it will tell us where we are coming from, and then we can explore what these elites are all about. And by the way, when we talk about elites, who are elites? We're talking about political elites. We're talking about financial elites. We're talking about religious elites. We're talking about media elites, academic elites, military elites, cultural elites, like the funds, and corporate elites, business people. We have Southern Cameroonians and Bozonians who all fall in those categories.
Yep.
So we wonder, how are they thinking? What is going through their minds when they see things that are happening in their homeland, in Amazonia, in Bibabaki, in Boyo, in Kwakwa, in the Ngabu massacre, all those things that have happened? What are they thinking? How are they processing this genocide? Because it's clearly a genocide. How are they processing the fact that La Republique is willing to give us special status? Is that something they'd like to settle for? So, Mawini, you can just start your introduction on this topic, and when that video comes, we will continue.
Yes, Mappy, thank you, and viewers, thank you again for tuning in. If you didn't hear everything, there will probably be some rerun sometime, someday. Listen to all of it. If not, go to Facebook or go to YouTube, and you can watch and get the first part of what we talked about. Mappy, you transitioned us and said from 1961 up to 2017, actually 2018, I would say so. We were using the force of argument to try to restore our position. That is where majority of these our elites and chiefs where they fell in that category of the force of argument up to 2018. In 2017, we did not even choose the force or the argument of force. We never made that choice. That choice was made for us by Mr. Paul Biya when he declared war, and we had to go on the defense. However, most of the elites, the chiefs, and those who are special, and sometimes those who have intermarried and have links on both sides, us and theirs, would prefer the status quo with some cosmetic changes called decentralization or federation. And then we usually quote to you Canada, Quebec, or they may quote other places, but it would not work for a dictator nation, that La République, that has never honored any of its supposedly international treaty that should have existed but doesn't exist, but tramples over it, because we never had a treaty of union. And for La République, it did not matter. We've already annexed them. We can move on. So they are still looking at this very comfortable. I would put this categorically. Let's come to the economics. We had PowerCam, we had WADA, we had Santa Area Development Coffee Plantation, and we had Ndu Tole, we had CDC. I bet you none of those are still existing. They even had an automobile. I think it was called chair automobiles or motors. Those are all gone. Cameroun Bank, all gone. We credit union concept was what we did, because we used cooperatives and credit unions, which were also microeconomics, economic play economic spaces within our villages, where people will either be in their jange, or they'll have a cooperative, or they'll be in credit union. That was a kind of financial banking system that most of our people had. But all those were destroyed. And when they had eroded our economic power and strength, then they went into the education. They had started the education slowly, but then they moved into education and the legal system. And I remember in the mid 80s, when the education, they wanted to scrape off our education system. No more GCE, you go right back, go right propatoire and all whatever. And of course, we were on the streets resisting that change. So they backed off a little bit. They let the steam out a little bit. And then eventually, what we did not realize, of course, because majority of the people in the courts and the court system, they always appoint everybody and they always do this. And we never knew how those things were playing and who they were. They just read the presidential executive order and everything was the way it went. So if we look at that erosion, majority of our people, when Haijo said it's costly to keep two governments and two house of parliament, a parliament in La République and a parliament in Boya. So let's unify it. Let's bring it together. All those were things to erode our political system, and in so doing, Jua was kicked out. Muna was appointed and not voted in. So democracy, as we knew it, was eroded. But what happened? Majority of our civil servants that were running the government of former British Cameroun or Southern Cameroons were now moved to capital city in Yaoundé. And by so doing, not only, let's forget about the language barrier, the cultural barrier. What happened? Most of them stayed there. Most of them, in so doing, they found out that in our own system, we had, like they call the GRA, government residential areas. Some of them had homes that were better, and then when they went to Yaoundé, they were living in slums, in ghettos. And those that were able to navigate their way through the bribery and corruption or through second-hand party were able to get accommodation in their camp six that they had, which the sewer system in those places stinks like crazy. So with all that, our people now were losing their identity. Some of them started buying property, started building, started acquiring their own businesses and other things. So they got entrenched. So most of their investments are in La République de Cameroon. Very few of them thought of going back home and doing investment, because they thought it was better. It was if they could build their house, they would live more comfortably in their homes, and it's more costly to construct in Yaoundé or Douala or in the north. And so with all that, the Bible puts it this way: where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So because of their treasure now being in La République, whether financial gains, investments, or whatever, they do not want to separate or leave, and they don't care about the masses back at home, because they look at what they as individuals stand to lose. I pity most of them. why do I say I pity most of these elites, chiefs, and all whatnot, even religious leaders, because they go and get subventions from the government, they get subvention for their schools, for their whatever, and they continue. I feel sorry. My patients, let me ask you a question. If I came to your house and I ask you to give me the keys of your door, your bedroom, everything, your car, everything that you own. And I said, don't worry, I'll clean your house. I will take care of, I'll go do the grocery for you. I will do everything. All you just need to do is sit. And whenever I want to cook something, I can cook a little bit and give you in a little platter. And of course, all your bank account, when you go to work, um, all the money you earn, you have to give me, and I will take charge of it. And you just have to just take the little that I give you. And maybe once or twice a week, I may drop a little bit, cook something, and give you on a little plate and say, Mappy, here is yours. And because everybody, and I do so for all your neighbors, everybody is hungry, and I give you that little one that you can eat, or I can promise you, hey, don't worry, I will give you at least one sardine and bread every day while the others are starving. Guess what? You take it and you're happy for your
Mhm.
one loaf of bread and sardine. You forget that the house is yours, the cars are yours. That's what these elites and chiefs are doing. And I can come in there and I say, oh, TV, okay. But don't forget, you need to pay the bills for all the utilities and all the subscriptions that you are. I have everything. I have the keys. I can drive whenever I want. The gas I'll put in your car. And if the car is broken, oh, you pay for the repairs. That is what is happening to us. And these elites are blind to it. They don't even realize that what rightly is theirs has
Mhm.
been taken, and somebody is holding it and taking a drop and putting it in. Instead of them having a full cup of water to drink, somebody takes a dropper. You and I in the healthcare, we know how droppers. Those people, for
Mhm.
most people who don't know what a dropper is, when they say go put eye drop, think I take a whole big bucket of whatever water that is mine, or yours, and I'm keeping, and then I take a dropper, one
And give it
drop.
to you.
That's that's what these elites, politicians, yes, maybe their kids may be able to go out, they may have that nice home. They may drive that Pajero. They may be able to travel international. Let me guarantee you, go and look back. Most of them don't realize that, yes, their children today may be able to. Can they guarantee that their grandchildren will be able to have the same? Or their great grandchildren to the fifth generation will be able to have the same accommodation and even subvention. Let me call them subvention or whatever. I don't even know what name to call that little crumbs. Will they be able to get that little crumbs? How many of them have built maybe a shack or no shack, and then when they die, they are carrying them back to the village to build? People are they go there, they are surprised because they saw them with this big mansion
Mhm.
in La République, the Cameroon, and then they come to where they are coming to bury them. It's a shack. It's sad. It's
It
sad.
is sad.
Nobody is going for you elites, you so-called funds, you so-called whether you are political and whatever. Let me tell you, nobody is going to go back to develop your land for you. The only thing they can do is dangle a little bit of money and buy it off. Do you know how many people? It's sad to say this, but when we talk about some of this, it looks almost like we are also discriminated, but we are not. You want to buy, you want to register your property. that should never have been a big deal. You go through red tapes and so many things and so-called deal all the way to Yaoundé to send. It used to be at least they brought it down. Now that they have entrenched and put the senior divisional officers that are supposed, administrators that are supposed to sign it, and they know who they are. Guess what? Once they know, they begin to turn you around. You will never, they will never issue you a land certificate. And what were the perks of land certificate? In case government decided they wanted to develop that place, they will be able to compensate you. How many of our funds even have land certificate of the ancestral heritage of land that they have? Most of them don't.
Mhm.
That's why you have this guy taking land in Boyo, in Menchum, in Bui, and was what do you call this guy? Is who bought over Nduti Estate.
Yeah, the guy that sells cement. What is it? I know who you're talking. I
Um,
can't remember his name.
yes, that's why he was able to just go in and carry all this
Cement.
land and
Akiri?
go probably register it. Hills and hills and acres and hectares of land. Because guess what? They will not let the indigents easily get the um, property title to what they own, but they will let a family key person comes quickly, they'll give them
Mm-hmm.
that title
Mm-hmm.
easily.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them is because they are bribery and corruption is a norm of them, so it's easy for them. But why would you be going to bribe for that which is yours for somebody to give you a title for that which is? There should be a fee. Let that fee be named and let the witnesses and the rules put in place, and people come to sign, and the fee is paid, and then the title is issued, and the pillars that they put the pillars, the pins, let it be put. But it cannot
That's
work that way. I feel
that's
sorry because most elites are just
Yeah, that's the difference, Mawini, between the Anglo-Saxon tradition and the French system, where we had set rules, and anybody who plays by those set rules will get what they want. If you want to register something, you have the fee to pay. That's it. Everybody has the same fee that they pay, and they get what they're supposed to get. So you've talked about this at least being dangles crumbs here and there. They're settling for crumbs. And you reminded me of a video that I heard. This lady was crying, really begging that people should just give up for this war and let's just let things go back the way they were, so that these people can come back home and build in our land. So this person's idea, this lady was a lady, was saying that right now, as you've just said, Mawini, you have a lot of great infrastructure by our own people. They are elevating La Republique. They are doing a lot of construction, making that city, for example, Yaoundé or Douala, look better than it would have been if it was not the hard work of our people. That those people have to come back home and build, but they cannot come back home and build because of a war. But the first thing should be let them join us and fight this war against the La Republic. And then when they come home, they have all the freedom that we had in the early 70s, in the 60s and early 70s, when we had our own capital in Boya. I mean, we were children then, you and I, Mawini, but we know how things were. Even as children, we saw how peaceful and how neat our hospitals were, how clean our
yeah.
streets were. So we are going to be ending the show soon, but I would love to usher in this video, because this video is to remind these elites, this you talked, Mawini, about all the corporations that we've lost that were owned by Southern Cameroonians that help bring wealth in our territory. They are all gone. And the reason La Republique purposely made sure that these cooperatives do not exist in our territories was so that we will always be slaves. We will be asking for these handouts over and over instead of owning our own corporations and building wealth in our own towns and villages. But let's listen to this video that is telling us that this land is divisible, and it's high time for the elites to really realize that that land is divisible and they have to work, find a way to come back home to serve the people.
Must be divisible, because it's a cliche that Cameroon is one and indivisible, because it's not true. Culturally, we are divisible. Language-wise, we are divisible. The law-wise, we have inherited that. So anybody who says Cameroon is one and indivisible is a fallacy. And so we would have to handle that issue very squarely and objectively. And that's what I call the truth. The truth must prevail. There is no doubt that there are people of both sides, that cherish their heritage. And the only way of keeping Cameroon together is to respect the respective heritages that we do have.
Mawini, over to you.
Let me put it this way. If La République de Cameroon thinks that we are indivisible, let them go to all those neighboring Central Africa, Gabon, and carry back part of those German Cameroon that they know were partitioned and given to the Belgians and the Frenchmen for easy, or I shouldn't say easy administration, give part to those other. Let them bring them all back together and call it German Cameroon. And let's all put that, and then we'll carry the headquarters back to Boya and do the German Cameroon, and then go back and look for independence. We are already independent. And being independent, we were not granted independence on the same date. We had separate birth certificates of our independence. La République, 1960, Ambazonia or Southern Cameroons, 1961, October 1st. That's almost 2 years when we had our own independence, when they had theirs prior. That being said, the by jury system is what we inherited from the British, where we were mandated. We have to choose our words carefully. We were really a colony under the Germans, if we have to speak by the term colonialism. We were truly a colony under the Germans. We were a mandated territory, Class B, under the British, and La République under the French. However, France, in its manipulative style, did what they call the Francophonie or alliance, that they kind of signed, that accord de coopération, or that they had. And Cameroon happened to have fallen under that as well. If you look at that, you can tell that when World War I ended and Germany had to secede all its colonies. It was not just us, Togoland. They did some of these things not just to us. We have to remember that. But the impact of having our territories separated, part of Togo went to Ghana, Togoland, and part of the other one stayed under the French. You go to Tanzania, Tanganyika, and all those. Those 40 years plus that we now were mandated territories and inherited a culture, an educational culture, a jurisprudence culture that got us anchored, and even democratic principles that had an impact, and it cannot be eroded away. It's now in our DNA. In our DNA, it cannot be separated, it cannot be removed. They have tried. Mr. Biya himself even admitted in 2019 that we tried and we couldn't. So, and Biya himself is saying that we tried and we couldn't. and these people are separate, and we are separate, or we are different, then who are these others who do not want to admit the truth that we are separate people? I think you are just being deceptive. You are, I would say, you're using intellectual dishonesty to say that we are not different and cannot be separated. Any any group of people with something that holds them and anchors them strongly, that ties them to their freedom, can be separated. Even if you have conjoined twins, they can be separated. Why not? We may at one point have been conjoined through the German colonization, but we were separated after World War I, and we remained that way even up to the point and the date of our independence. We remained that way. So don't be deceived. If you think and you believe, if you believe you are a rat and a cockroach and a dog, you can stay and remain with that mentality. I'm a human being with my own volition. I have the freedom, and it's inherent and it's God given, and I have to stand by it, defend it, and I cannot relinquish it. Gone are the days of our ignorance, because in the time of Aijo growing up, we were little kids, but we knew there was tension. Nobody could say anything about Haijo. Nobody could say anything. And then when Bia came, people said, oh, finally. But Bia was more evil at the core, more than Haijo. I remember there was this cartoon where they said you could see Haijo eating and crumbs falling on the table, and those that were under the Haijo's table were growing fat. But then now Bia came to eat, and on his table he's eating and growing fat, and the people that were under his table were growing leaner. Can you imagine? Those are cartoons that I saw as a child growing.
No crumbs.
It spoke volumes. But however, that is for La République du Cameroun. But for us, we know now our history. We did not know before. Now we know our history. We know our rights. We know our roots. And we know who we are. And we are not going to be deceived. We are not going to be taken back. And nobody can say that, hey, okay, you cannot be separated. It's a fat lie. It can. Look at Sudan and South Sudan. It happened. Look at Somaliland and Somalia. It happened. Look at Eritrea and Ethiopia.
Ethiopia.
Look at Djibouti. It happened. So don't tell us lies that we know can happen and is happening and keeps happening, and think that because at one point some people went and sat in Fumban to talk about something, but the treaty was never ratified, then so we are condemned to stay in a relationship that is a false relationship that had never really had roots.
So thank you so much, Mawini. So the take-home message that I'd like you to, I'd like you to just end this show with a take-home message to these elites. So these elites, we believe they know the truth, right? They should. I mean, unless they're living under a rock, they should know the truth about our history. They should know what Bishop Kia said about the land being divisible. They should also know that in May of 2010, the UN General Assembly representative Ali Triki, when he went to visit Bia during the celebration of the 50th anniversary, presented Bia with two maps. You know, one map which is a map of Ambazonia and the map of La République du Cameroun. Those was a symbolic gesture that don't forget that you're two people, you know.
Yes.
So the elites that are there, and I've listed them. We have our chiefs that you mentioned about our chiefs when we talk about the previous show. Our chiefs, our those that are academicians, those that have businesses, and those that are working for La République du Cameroun, all of them, they are doing well right now. They have food to eat. They are living the glamorous life and all the like. But how will they end when they are approaching the last days of their uh, life on this earth? What will they say? What legacy will they leave behind? Because it's really not how you start, it's how you end. How will they be remembered? Will they be remembered as people who forgot their history, forgot their people, and settled in a foreign land and abandoned their land? Because all these killings that we've seen, things happening in Big Babanki, in Boyo, and things that have happened in Kwakwa, all those villages that have been deserted, they were their own, the ancestors, our great grandfather, great grandmothers lived in those areas. Are we just going to just abandon them for La Republic to take over? What is the message? What is your final take home message to elites, Mawini, as we end this show?
Um, the first thing I want to let me start with the academic elites. Do your research. Don't argue blindly. Don't speak blindly. Do your research. If you do not have the spine to stand up, because I know some of you are in the lion's den, you also are afraid for your lives, but you know the truth. I would say rather than speak, be quiet. Rather than criticize, help. There are ways you can still help. You have right there, for those of you who are well settled in the land of La République du Cameroun, there are IDPs. You can help them. Don't treat them inhumanely like La République is doing. Help
Mhm.
them. For those of our who have established economically and are doing well, and you don't want to see your businesses collapse, let me just give you one. Let me tell you one. Let me paint a picture for you to see. Mr. Paul Biya tomorrow dies, and there is warring going on between the various major groups and factions within his government and within the tribal lands and the regional lands. There will be no businesses that you can run from where you are. You may find yourself just running back, trying to go home, maybe with a one car or two car that you can get and drive if you will be able to make it through and get and try to get back home. Don't think that the economic wealth that you have built and what you have invested cannot be ruined or cannot disappear in a day. It
Yeah.
could erode in a day. So build relationships with your people, help your people, support the cause. Some of you are able to, are well, you, I would say, you have not just the crumbs, but you are able to really thrive in business, and you have the ability to travel around the world, and you have seen for yourself development in other parts of the world, even right there in Africa, next door to Nigeria. Go to Lagos, see, go to Abuja, see how they develop. Go to South Africa, you will see places. Go to Kenya, you will see development. But if you do not develop your own place, nobody would for you. And even if others come to develop it, they will develop it according and pattern it according to their culture, their dictates, and you will become a stranger in your own land. So don't forget that. If you are the religious leaders, you're only there for a season. Your son or your daughter is not going to inherit that title of bishop, cardinal or um,
Moderator.
um, moderator, superintendent, or whatever. They're not going to inherit that. You're there for a season, and you will give an account to God for what you did and how you handle and how you shepherd his people. If you cannot be honest, I pray you, rather than speak politics, focus and feed the sheep and the lamb of God. If you cannot, leave and quit that place. There is no shame if you are true to yourself and find peace within your heart to do what is right and what you know. If you're only there for what you can get and the will that you can get power and control over others, I feel really bad because you are missing the point. You're supposed to be a servant, but you're no longer the servant. Servant leadership is missing in your character. Then of course there's a day of reckoning coming, unless you don't really believe in the God you serve, except you only believe that it is for what I'm here for, what I gain, and not for what I have been called to do. And for the chiefs and fonts, be it by line of inheritance or be it by um, village council voting you and putting you in that position, I just want to remind you there is the principle of you reap what you sow. You reap more than you sow, and you reap in a different season than the season that you sow. There is a planting season and there will be a harvesting season. Be be quiet if you cannot speak and cannot understand the plight of your people. Be quiet and stay only in the cultural realm of what you're doing and stay clear out of politics. I know that the deals come to give you guys some allowances because they consider you that you are um, auxiliary administrators of La République du Cameroun. Do you guys remember you used to have a house of chiefs in southern Cameroon? And you had power in that house of chiefs. I mean, it had weight.
Yeah.
What you did there had weight. What you do now is all they can do is manipulate you and use you as tools to fight against your own people. And you think that tomorrow, when you are gone, your children are gonna find it easy in the village. Anyway, I know some of you are building your palaces now in Yaoundé, Douala, and wherever that, or even in the western region of La République du Cameroun. You're building your palaces there. Fine. Well, build it and see how many of the indigents of that land will come and honor you as spawn or chiefs. They will not. You will remain a stranger there. That so-called palace you're building, it will only be the elites and those that are hanging around you that will be there. But when they are gone, who is going to come to that your palace that you're building in La République du Cameroun to honor you? I just want to give you this last word. Think about the loss you're about, all the things you're about to lose. If you stay neutral or you antagonize the process of the restoration of our sovereignty, think about it. Think about the legacy you're going to leave behind for your posterity. That the person that will sit in that on that phone, that throne of that phone when they come later, are they going to be a better politician to continue to feed from the table of La République's crumbs? Or are they going to be loved by their people, honored by their people, even if they have to eat vegetables, like Daniel and his other four friends, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, ate vegetables and ended up being far healthier than those who ate all the meats and drank all the wines from the king's table in Babylon. Do you want to stay in the Babylon of La République du Cameroun, feed fat, and then you have no name in the end? Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we know them today. Who were all the others that were eating and feeding from the table of King Nebuchadnezzar? We don't know them. Maybe if you are a historian, you can dig deeper. But these four stood out because they stood for the principle of what was right, and they could not contradict their faith and their belief and their identity. They could not trade it in for anything. Please do likewise. Do not trade your identity, and know who you are, and stand by who you are, and know what you've been given, and do not throw it away as though it's nothing. It is vital, it is important, and be with the people God has given you and support them. Look, there is a saying in America, be kind. I don't know if it's even an American saying. Be kind to the people you pass on your way going up, because you will meet them on your way coming down. Remember that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mawini. I just thought that maybe we should give them one extra advice. And this may not make sense right away, but it may be something that they may need. I think that those elites that are living in La Republic territory right now, not knowing what the future holds, should have a plan already with
In place.
plan in place with La Republic citizen, maybe one or two La Republic citizen, that when things get sour, please, I'd like to sell my property to you so that I can get out of here. Just have that backup plan, because there may come a time when you will be forced out of that land, out of those properties, and you will have nothing to show for it. But if you already have plans and you have a relationship with someone who's going to be willing to give you a few francs CFA and take ownership so that you run back home, because there's no thing like home. You will be free in Southern Cameroon. You can never be as free in Southern Cameroon and live the life to your fullest like you're living in La Republique as a second-class citizen, as a special status citizen, without all the freedom that you expect when you go back home. So that is just an advice. Take it or leave it, but it may come a time when you say, oh, I wish I had made this relationship with someone to sell this property and run for my life, because home, Ambazonia, is where you can live the fullest of your potential and develop the place and have your people be pleased with what you are doing for them, and you also be pleased with what your people can do for you. I want to thank Dr. Lubaidi for coming on the horizon today. I know you were expecting your favorite host, Lady Casey, but she was not able to make it today. We are praying that she will be with us next Friday. And for those viewing, those watching from all over the diaspora, those that are watching from the home front and ground one, we appreciate you. And please, please stay focused. If you believe that you were born free, then you should fight to be free. But if you want to settle for what La Republique wants to give you, then you'll be failing your children and your great-grandchildren, because they will never get all the priorities that are given to La Republique children. They will always serve as second-class citizens, as slaves to the superior La Republique. And know that France has put this in place from the get-go. France is the one ruling La Republique. And if we don't pull out of it now, then we are doomed. But the IG is on course. The president, you heard the video, the president has told you to know who you're choosing as your friends, to know who you can confide in, to know where your belief lies and what you're fighting for. You're fighting for your freedom, and freedom is not free. So thank you so much. I want to end this show by saying, long live the Federal Republic of Amazonia, and short live this struggle for international recognition. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
It looks like we're still on the air.
Yeah.
You are watching the